This is the 14th video of the Forged Fiction series. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series, check out the Forged Fiction playlist on our channel. You can click on the link in the description, or click the card in the top right corner of the screen. The letter to the Philippians is one of the captivity letters. It's called this because Paul wrote it while he was imprisoned. He wrote this letter along with his letter to Philemon, which we will get to soon. His letter to the Philippians shows Paul in his most open and vulnerable state. He speaks freely of his desires, joys, and sorrows while keeping polemics and preaching at a minimum. This video is going to be a bit shorter than our other videos in this series because the transmission of this text has been generally good. This is a very interesting letter when it comes to discussing the Christology of Paul and the early Christians, but that's for a later discussion. Not only will this be shorter, but it will be quite different in format. There is really only one notable thing about the text of Philippians that it actually shares with the letter to the Romans. It's actually 3 letters stitched together. There are a few pieces of evidence that we need to examine. The first is an external piece of evidence coming from Polycarp's letter to the Philippians. In it, Polycarp references Paul's epistles to them. Polycarp does a very good job of making sure the plurals in the letter are plural and the singulars are singular. It's possible this was an oversight, but that seems unlikely. Apparently, Paul had written multiple letters to the people of Philippi. Perhaps Polycarp knew of a letter written to the Philippians that is now lost. Perhaps our modern version of the letter is a combination of all the letters Polycarp knew of. I am of the opinion that the second option is more likely. We can also look at the internal evidence of the letter to show that it is made up of 3 different letters. Modern scholars break down these letters the following way. Philippians 3:2-4:1, Philippians 4:10-20, Philippians 1:1-3:1, 4:2-9, and 4:21-23. This seems very jumbled and confusing, and that's because it is, but we can tell this is a proper assessment from the abrupt breaks in the text. The first break is clear in 3:1-2. Further, my brothers and sisters, rejoice in the Lord. It is no trouble for me to write the same things to you again, and it is a safeguard for you. Watch out for those dogs, those evildoers, those mutilators of the flesh. The first half of 3:1 seems like he is about to sign off, but then he tells the Philippians he has no problem writing them again, and follows it with a tirade on dogs and evildoers. The change in tone and issues suggests that 3:2-4:1 was not written in the same setting or point in time, meaning while he wasn't in prison. Speaking of endings, this letter seems to end 3 times as well. Aside from 3:1, there are these other 2 occasions. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. 4:9. To our God and Father be glory forever and ever. Amen. 4:20. Another internal piece of evidence is in 4:2-3. It shifts from speaking to 2 people to a singular person. I plead with Euodia and I plead with Syntyche to be of the same mind in the Lord. Yes, and I ask you, my true companion, help these women since they have contended at my side in the cause of the gospel, along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers, whose names are in the book of life. This is clearly the beginning of yet another letter. With the amount of time the letter to the Philippians spends changing tone, addressing, and ending, it's clear this was made of previous letters put together. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and if you like the content, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. And if you really love us, consider supporting us on Patreon. Make sure to click that bell to get notified when we make a video, and check out our new website. Be sure to share if you learned something, and we'll see you next time.